What's going on YouTube? So as people continue to flock from sedans to crossovers, the Honda CR-V has become one of America's best-selling vehicles. It's been around for 5 generations at this point, and 2022 is probably the last model year of this generation. So is this still a great compact SUV choice for the family? Let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so getting started with the exterior design. As you would expect for the probable last model year of this generation, it is going to remain the same. So you've got that signature CR-V design up here in the front, kind of a little aggressive, kind of not, in a way that's not offensive or anything like that. Got that signature grille, the chrome accent that runs down and goes through the headlights. So let's go ahead and talk about the headlights. You'll notice on the LX through the EXL, you're gonna have halogen headlights. So it's a halogen projector, low beam, and a reflector, high beam. But the LED daytime running light that goes around it and the turn signal above it, those are both LED. If you go for the fully loaded touring model, that will give you a full LED setup instead. But down here at the bottom, regardless of which trim level you choose, even the base LX is gonna have LED fog lamps. Checking out the wheels, next you have a series of options starting with 17 inches, going up to 18-inch alloys for the EX and EXL trim levels like you see here. And then you have a special 19-inch alloy for the top touring trim level. And then checking out the mirrors, all but the LX are going to get basically the nice features. So you have heating, you have blind spot monitoring, as well as the turn signal indicator.
For 2022, as you would expect, there's not a lot different with the side design for the CR-V. It is coming in at 180 inches in length. I do want to point out though that the Touring would add some chrome trimming going around all of this lower area and on the side if you go for that fully loaded model. But checking out the rear design, once again, that same thing is going to play out. There's not a lot of differences for 22, actually. There's no differences at all. But we have this chrome piece going through the middle. And then as far as the taillights themselves are concerned, I've always been a big fan of these taillights. They're going to be mostly LED. So as you can see, our turn signal as well as our brake light is LED. The only thing that's incandescent is the reverse light here in the middle. Then if we drop down to the bottom, we do have this nice accenting. That's going to be on all of the models. And if you go for that fully loaded touring, once again, you would have exposed exhaust outlets that are the trapezoidal type, and you're going to have a 1,500-pound tow rating across all of the CR-Vs. Now Honda knows this is a family vehicle, which is why they made all of the safety systems standard across every single CR-V. So you're going to have forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, auto high beams, and adaptive cruise control on every single CR-V. So it doesn't matter what trim level you go for, you will be safe for your family. But anyway, guys, that's it for the exterior of the CR-V. Now let's go ahead and check out that very practical cabin before we take it out on a spin. And we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It really helps us out. And all it's going to do is give you notifications on our most recent content, and also followed us on our other social medias.
Walking up to the CR-V for 2022, you will continue to find their smart entry system standard on all but the very base model, and included with that is also a remote start system. And getting inside, just grab behind the handle. Of course, it will unlock. And looking inside the cabin, you're not going to notice any significant changes for 2022. Of course, you wouldn't really expect to see too many changes since this is more than likely the last model year of this generation. But jumping into our color and material choices, the LX through the EX will come standard with cloth seating. And if you go up to the EXL or the touring trim level, that's where you'll get the leather you see on this specific example in your choice of black, gray, or ivory. Turning over here to the door trim, you'll see the same nice materials reflected up here. So you've got the leather covering across the armrest as well as all the center area. It is soft touch along the top. It has a stitching detail in the plastic, and then we also have a faux wood accent. The windows will be one-touch auto up and down for the driver and the passenger. We also have two-person memory seating with the EXL and the Touring trims. And then looking at the seats, all but the very base model will come with 12-way power adjusting seats with 4-way lumbar, so that's more than most of the competition offers. And like I was mentioning, full leather seats, nice design. I do like the perforation inside as well as the stitching details. Now once we're inside, let's go ahead and discuss your material quality overall. So across the upper dash, this is going to be finished in a soft touch plastic. And as we move down to this middle area, it continues with a stitching detail and piano black accents through there. We also have more of this faux wood accent that runs across. Down through here is going to be hard touch, but this is a Honda after all. So you already know that things are going to fit together extremely well. No panel gaps or anything like that, and they feel extremely solid and well put together. Now to start up the CR-V, put your foot on the brake and press the illuminated button. And after it starts up, you will be greeted with the typical gauge cluster. This is the 7-inch multifunction display. As you can see, it is full digital as far as what's in the center, and you can just cycle through all the different aspects of information using the steering wheel mounted controls, including things like torque distribution with your all-wheel drive system. And as we pull back to the steering wheel, we do have a nice leather wrapped steering wheel on the vast majority of models, piano black accented buttons, and the steering wheel itself will be heated if you choose the Touring model. And then right down there is where you make your manual tilt and telescoping adjustments. But let's talk one of the best aspects of the CR-V by far. It's an area where it really dominates a lot of the competition, and that is interior storage. So starting out with our center console, we have a very unique arrangement. It's kind of open here in the front, and we have all this space. Then you can actually take this piece. This slides back, revealing part of this deeper bend, but you can also bend it and snap it out of the way. So you have all this space completely open, goes way down deep, and we can stick our coupons in here. As you can see, we really don't even have to fold them in half. So you could fit a ton of coupons. In front of that, though, we still have two more cup holders. We have another large storage bin. This is also a wireless phone charging pad if you go for the Touring trim level, but regardless, you're going to get two USB ports right in front of it. Now, obviously, one of the kind of signature CR-V elements that allows for the freedom of all this storage is the fact that they mount the shifter up here a little bit higher than what is normal. So of course you can pull back for drive. You also have sport and low right there on the shifter. And then heading into reverse, all the models are also going to come standard with this backup camera. As you can see, we do have the active trajectory. You can also switch between several different views as well, but there is no 360-degree camera available. Then also to the side of that, you do have your electronic parking brake as well as your brake hold, and then you've got your Econ drive mode as well as the defeat for your auto start stop system. As we move above that, your climate control panel does remain the same this year, so you're going to have dual zone automatic climate control on all but the very base model, so that will be the SE and above. And of course you can just adjust the temperature very easily right here. You'll see that reflected up there in the display. Some additional climate functions are going to be located by pressing the climate button. That'll let you change the zones, for example, but you do have controls for the fan speeds right there. And then underneath of that, we have the 3-stage heated seats. These are also included on all but the base model. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into our audio systems. So basically you have a different number of speakers with the different trim levels as you go up through the lineup. This EXL is going to have 8 speakers. The fully loaded Touring would have 9 speakers. We'll go ahead and give this a sample now. So overall sound quality is definitely pretty good. Although with the next generation, hopefully Honda will introduce the branded Bose sound system like they have in the Civic as an option. Okay, so now let's take a look at the infotainment system. This does remain the same for 2022 as well. So this is a 7-inch display. The LX will come with a 5-inch display, but the vast majority of the trim levels will come with this 7-inch display, which does have some touch-sensitive controls over here on the side of it. This is the older generation of the Honda Link system, as you can probably tell. So that does mean it's not going to be quite as responsive as the newest Honda system, but it does have most of the same functionality, including Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities, as well as integrated navigation if you choose the fully loaded Touring trim. As far as the mirror is concerned, this is an auto-dimming version with the Homelink Universal remotes included on the EXL and the Touring trim levels. And then taking a look up here at our sunroof, this is going to be included on all but the base LX trim level, so that's certainly nice to see.
Well guys, there are a few rear seats that I'm happier in than the CR-V because this is a family vehicle through and through, and that of course means that Honda's put a huge emphasis on making this rear area very, very nice and spacious. Let's talk about the space first. We have 40.4 inches of legroom, 39 inches of headroom, which does put it like 3 inches larger than the Toyota RAV4. So of course that's its big competition. It's even larger than the Nissan Rogue as well though. So this is like the largest offering in the entire segment, and you can certainly benefit from that space. As you can see, behind your seating position, I have, I would say, 8 or so inches of legroom. My feet can easily slide up underneath the seat, and these seats do also recline. It really is just so comfortable back here, and also just the seating themselves, they're just very, very comfortable. Now, let's also talk about your features because that is an important part as well. We are going to have standard vents across every single trim level of the CR-V, which is a nice touch. If we drop below that, if you get the EX trim level and above, that will throw in the 2 charging USB ports. And then off on the door trim, we do have a lot of additional storage. So if you can't fit it somewhere in the cargo area, you can fit it in this door trim. And then we can fold down the center armrest, and the center armrest does have cup holders inside. Now walking up to the CR-V's tailgate, if you go for at least this trim level, you will have the power function. And if you go for the very top end Touring model, that will also throw in the hands-free abilities. But, you know, once again, this is going to be a large area for the CR-V. Just like the second row, Honda has really put an emphasis on making this family-friendly, and family-friendly means you have a lot of space. We have 39 cubic feet of space behind the second row seats that expands all the way up to 76 cubic feet as a maximum, which is almost 10 cubic feet larger than what you expect out of this segment of vehicle. And that is larger than the RAV4, it's larger than the Nissan Rogue. There's just so much space back here, and you know, I'm sure every family will really utilize that additional space. And as far as how Honda has finished it, off to the side we do have our levers to fold the seats. They do fold 60-40 split. Up top we have a cargo cover, and then on the bottom we have a nice carpeting, and we can lift up the cargo floor, and that does have your spare tire up underneath it there, and you also have lighting back here. Now if you go for the EXL and higher, you will have the 4-way power passenger seat. And then if we pop open the glove box, you know, once again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but there is a lot of space in the CR-V. It's really, this vehicle is one of its strongest suits, the space. And it fits in these coupons like nobody's business. You can fit them in there for days and days of coupons. And then up top, we have a mirror. We also have some lighting, and we can detach the visor as well as extend it out.
Alright, so that was our acceleration with this 2022 CR-V. Now, of course, you've probably gotten the theme so far. There's not going to be any changes in this regard, except for one small adjustment, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But as far as the engine is concerned, nothing is different. 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, 190 horsepower, 179 pound-feet of torque. That's basically just about average for the class. You know, right in the mix of things. Not the most powerful, not the least powerful, and overall acceleration is fine for everyday duty.
Yeah. You will probably notice it's a little bit slower than something like a RAV4, but it's fine. And also the fact that it's a very quiet and refined engine. So, just under everyday accelerations, you're going to have a very quiet, refined powertrain experience, which is something that a lot of CR-V buyers are definitely looking for.
And as you can probably hear, this does also come with a continuously variable transmission. This, just like we've said with past Honda CR-V reviews, it's a nice and responsive CVT. Like, you don't have a big delay like you do in some continuously variable transmissions. There's not any shift simulation or anything like that. It just all kind of, comes together with, I guess, what people usually use a CR-V for. You're not usually heavily accelerating. You're just kind of going around town, getting up to highway speed, stuff like that.
Yeah. And you're going to have standard front-wheel drive on all of the trim levels, optional all-wheel drive. And then there's our 2022 change. It's that the Touring model comes standard with all-wheel drive now. So you can only get an all-wheel drive Touring, no front drive option for that model. But let's just go ahead and cut straight to the chase. Talk about your ride quality. The ride quality on this CR-V is really one of the very best in the entire segment. I think it was last year we had the chance, maybe it was 2 years ago, we had the chance to have a CR-V for the entire week as a loaner vehicle. And, this is just one of those vehicles that just absolutely blends into your lifestyle. It is so comfortable just on the day-to-day, taking it down the highway, going on a road trip, whatever you really want to do, this vehicle does super duper well. And also is just really comfortable. The seats are absolutely fantastic. I have no complaints when it comes to the ride quality and just overall family and comfort experience that you're going to get here. All right, you might also be curious about the fuel economy. It's going to be coming in at 30 miles per gallon combined for the front-wheel drive, 29 if you go for all-wheel drive. So that is, of course, very good fuel economy for an SUV. Of course, brought to you by having that CVT as well as the 1.5-liter turbo. It is also worth noting that Honda does have a hybrid version of the CR-V. We took a look at that. That was all new for 2020. So they do have that as an option. So that, of course, goes against something like a RAV4 hybrid, which you previously didn't have on a CR-V.
And now it's time for today's slam dunks and airball. So I'll start with the airball today. This is the same thing we said last year. You can probably predict what I'm going to say. Just the technology on board here. For whatever reason, Honda opted not to update that when they did the refresh. So this is, pretty dated. It's definitely going to be slower than what their newest system is. So, it's something I feel like they could have put the newer system in this for the remainder of this generation, but they did not.
Yeah. And our slam dunk is probably also going to be the same as it normally is, space. I think that's really the CR-V's strongest suit, is the fact this is, not the newest product around. Like we said, this is probably on its last model year. It might last one more. But it really still is the class leader in terms of space. No one has even gotten to the level of space that this does. It has so much second row leg room. You fold those seats down, you have a ton of cargo capacity, and Honda really just does a fantastic job all the time of making it as practical and usable as possible. You just have so much interior space that I think so many families are going to appreciate. And for our sound level, we're looking at 60.3 decibels going 55 miles per hour. Now, one nice thing about the 22 CR-V is that the prices aren't going to rise very much this year. It's only going to be a couple $100, meaning the LX starts at $25,750, and then, of course, if you go all the way up to the Touring all-wheel drive, that's going to be $35,550. And this one, as tested, is going to be coming in just around $34,000 for an EXL with all-wheel drive.
So to conclude, let's answer that question that we asked at the beginning. is the CR-V still a great compact SUV to choose? The answer is absolutely yes. This CR-V has really been a super strong offering since it was first introduced, and all those same strong areas, carry on for this 2022 model year just the same. Like Mason was mentioning, one of the biggest areas, the storage is, and the utility and space, the rivals still are not really catching up with this. So, if you're looking for just ultimate family capability, comfort, the CR-V remains one of the very top choices.
Well guys, that's all for our in-depth review of one of America's most popular vehicles, this 2022 Honda CR-V EXL. If you enjoyed watching or found it helpful, please hit that subscribe button down below. Join this Car Confections family. I promise you won't regret it. Also tap the notification bell, because then you'll get notified on our most recent content that you won't want to miss out on. You want to be one of the first people to see new cars come out. So please hit that subscribe button, tap the bell, and also follow us on our other social medias where we give you even more up-to-date content on cars. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.